Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Mika Hutchins and I'm broadcasting to you from Studio Mikarts. Our charity of the month is Animal Alliance Asia. If you'd like to help me, help them, help the animals, just watch my stream this month. This is the last week of the month, so it's today and tomorrow. And bring your friends because I'll be making a donation at the end of the month based on my unique viewers count. You can also donate directly to them. I have their link in my About section here on Twitch. So please, if you'd like to help, go ahead and visit their page. It's Thursday, which means it's time for more illustration work. We are making excellent progress on this summer Gryphon. I'm so happy because this is a project I've been working on for a long time, and for some reason the summer one, out of the 4 seasons, was really tricky, and I worked on it last summer and sort of gave up and moved on to the next season eventually. I came back to it this year. Let's finish this. This is the last season I need to do. For anyone who hasn't seen any of the streams thus far, this is going to be a half-fold greeting card, so you can see on the sketch this line down the middle is where it would fold. This would be the front side, and this would be the back side, so that someone can send summer greetings and an art print at the same time. So yesterday we finished all the sketch with the blue pencil, made the lines more defined using the red pencil, and now I'm tracing those lines onto this piece of tracing paper so that we can then transfer them onto a piece of watercolor paper, because all of these have been watercolor illustrations. So let's just continue on with that. I'm using a little, I don't know if this is a ballpoint pen or what. It's a, what's the brand? Pilot? Let's see, it's called 3 Colors, 0.5 millimeters. Oh, it's a Zebra. Zebra 3C, 0.5. Anyway, it's just got black, red, and blue ink in it. I'm using the black ink to start, and then we'll use red ink later. And last time it was the black cartridge was making little bloops of ink, so I'm trying to do my best to just ink across like this instead of like doing a bunch here and then having to come over here and getting my hand in it, because it's been smudging a bit. I really hope that by the time we're done with this, it shows that it's griffins instead of birds. That's something with this one. There's so much going on. I think it's really easy to just see only the bird parts. I do think it's fun as long as folks eventually realize, oh, wait a minute, what's wrong with these birds? That's not bird tail. And then stop and think. But the griffin aspect isn't as strong in this one. It's not as obvious. So say like the very first one I did in this series, the spring griffin, that one was really obvious. The griffin is right there in your face. Bird half, mammal half, full display. This one's it's a little more subtle because there's so much going on. I'll be really happy if I can actually get this done during summer too, because it will be a reward for my patrons once it's ready. Right now everyone is signed up for postcards. There are also prints available if anyone wants to sign up for the print tier. The summer griffin here will become the new postcard when it's done. So being able to send that to my patrons while it's still summer would be awesome. But I think it's going to be great no matter when it's finished, and I don't want to rush it just for that, so that's just that'll be a nice what if. If it happens, it'll be great. If it doesn't, I think this will still be a really nice reward to receive. For anyone who's not checked out my Patreon page before, please go see if you'd like to become a member, because it's the main way I earn income from my art, even more than Twitch. It helps me out quite a bit. I'm hoping to eventually be making enough money that it'll cover, say, the cost of my portfolio website or the Adobe Creative Cloud subscription. I also have a data backup service to make sure all of my art files are saved to the cloud in case of some emergency, and that's not cheap. I have a P.O. box. That's all kinds of little art business expenses. So please consider checking out my Patreon and seeing if you'd like to support me there. There are four levels of support. $5 is the basic level. You can support if you don't want physical rewards, which I know people who don't want stuff. So you can support $5 or any amount. You can customize the amount as well. $5 for just digital rewards, which include the coloring pages that I put out every once in a while, or $5 to get a postcard in your mailbox from me, $15 to get 3 blank postcards for you to send out to other people, and next level is $45. That's for the full-size prints. So you would end up getting, so for this, you would get a print this size, like as you're seeing with my hands. And I have museum quality prints, archival inks, and art papers. So they're really, really nice. The texture of the art paper for the prints too is just so good. And then the top level is the biggest, bestest you can possibly do. $60, you get the 3 blank postcards and the full-size art print. So you can send the art out to other people and also display and collect it for yourself in full-size glory. Subscribing on Twitch does help too, though. Especially if you have a Amazon Prime subscription that you're not using for anyone else yet. Then it doesn't cost you anything and you can support my work. And of course here, if you support on Twitch, you get all the cute emotes, which you can use on not just my channel, other channels. And anybody who joins me on Twitch, DeviantArt, or Patreon gets access to the Studio Mikarts Discord server. And you can use the custom emotes, they're called emoji there, but custom emoji on Discord as well. Plus on Discord, if you have Discord Nitro, which has nothing to do with me, it's just a subscription to Discord itself. But they'll let you use those emoji on other servers too, so it's just yet another bonus. Sometimes when the lines are confusing here, I just have to trust myself. I have to trust my past self that these lines mean something, and yes, I should draw them. It's like right here, I'm like, what is this? But I realize now I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a leaf. It's supposed to be, it does. A little line behind here, the other edge. Oops, the pen didn't want to draw just there. After the last few illustration streams with so much cognitive work necessary to make progress, it's really nice to start a stream with something that is really easy. Just, for the most part, just trace the lines, no thinking required. I don't know what it is about this piece, it's just been giving me struggles from the beginning. Now, I'm noticing lines here and there that I not only missed with the black pen on top, but I missed it when I added the red line on the page beneath. So I'm giving it a glance to see if there are any others. Alright, I don't notice any really obvious ones, so let's just keep moving on here. Using my fingers of my opposite hand to hold the tracing paper down, because it likes to stick up slightly off the page, which means you can't really see the lines beneath that clearly. It has to be super flat against the page to see them clearly. It's been fun on my walks in the morning. I walk by one house in the neighborhood. They always have sunflowers growing in their front yard. In fact, they grow out so far that they start to block the sidewalk, but it's been nice to see them recently because I've been working on this piece. I've been drawing sunflowers so much and paying so close attention to what sunflowers look like. I just have a special appreciation for them when I see them in real life now. And there's not even, the sunflowers aren't out yet, but I can recognize the shape of the leaves and the specific color of green. with 3 hours to work within today. I think it's highly likely we'll get at least the base layer of watercolor paint on the page today. Did I miss anything? That crunching sound was my elbow rolling on the desk. If you're hearing any little sort of slurping sounds, I think Eva's having an eating dream, my big dog Eva. I don't know if it was loud enough to be picked up, but the lines here are so tiny. Whew. Oh, I got some ink on my hand. I was trying to be careful, but it's really hard. There's so many lines in this little tiny area. Top left corner of this illustration. Okay. I think I got the ink off of my finger, so I won't smear it anymore. there's a few right here. Peeking through. Before I move on to this final bottom left corner, I'm going to look over everything I just did and make sure there's nothing that I missed. So the next step is to remove this tracing paper from the sketch. So I want to make sure I got all the lines onto the tracing paper before I do that. I see another line where I didn't even get it with the red pen. There. So a lot of these ray flowers around the edge of the outside of the sunflower. I missed a lot of that connecting line on the inside where it's right next to another ray. I think I've got them all now. The reason why I really like to make sure to get it at this point is that once it's traced onto the watercolor paper, it's hard to make a correcting line or add a missing line later. For instance, if you just draw these lines with the tracing technique, even though it's graphite, it will look different than if you draw directly on the watercolor paper with graphite. So I'd like to get it now so that I don't have to worry about that, because I've had to do it before and it's kind of a pain. Oh, Exie, hello! Great to see you! Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you! I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that. Yep, we're almost done getting it onto the tracing paper. How are you doing? Thank you for joining me. Hope you're having a wonderful day, a wonderful evening. Oh, wonderful. Always glad to hear it. Yes, indeed. Thank you. I am. I'm so good. Today is a little cooler than yesterday, which I like because yesterday was so hot that I was like, it's so hot down here even though I'm in the basement. Now it's cool enough I need to put my sweater on. And yesterday's thunderstorms didn't actually reach us. And there's no thunderstorms for today, just clear blue skies. But since it's cooler, I like that, so I'm doing quite well. And I got to bed on time last night, so my back feels really good because I got enough sleep for it to heal. I don't know what it is. It's like it's obviously doesn't heal because it's just permanently messed up, but it repairs to a point that I can get about my day without issues. And so that's where I am. It's another reason why I'm feeling good, so thank you. Thank you for asking. Also feeling good because this illustration's coming along so nicely now. It's this might be the first time I've actually finished a large, I mean, for me this is large. This isn't large for other people, this is small. For me this is a large project. 4 pieces all in the same theme. I don't feel like I've ever finished one before. A project like that, unless it was for school, and even then it's still, because it's for school, it's still not quite your project, you know. You've got to meet the grading criteria and whatever. Oh, well, let's see. I'm gonna look at this one more time, as I have been doing, double checking for any missed lines. I'm trying not to smudge the ink anymore. I keep doing it. It's because this dang pen keeps putting out big globs. Like, oh, look at this one right over here. So I'm just looking over the whole thing, finding any spaces that seem like they're missing something. I purposefully am leaving the middle darker area of the disc of the sunflowers. I decided to do that with the watercolor, so I don't need the lines. Oh, thank you. Yay. Yeah, it's a, instead of physically large, it's large effort. So I appreciate that. Thank you. That's why it feels large to me. Yes. I definitely, I have done one. A project of this level of detail on a massive, for me, massive scale. I think was 33 by 48 inches. I actually have it in here. It's actually my favorite piece that I made in school. Oh, one day I'd like to get it framed, but to frame a piece this big will definitely cost hundreds of dollars, and so it's not in the budget right now. Let's see if I can show you. Oh, so here's the top corner, and this is online and stuff too, if anybody wants to look at it. It just keeps going and going and going and going. Here's the bottom corner, and it goes around the bottom. Like, I can't even show you. It's so big. I don't want to... Oh, I'll show it with the small camera. I don't want to mess with this camera because it's hard to get it lined up. Let's see if I can... Okay. In the small camera, here's my hand. Here's my hand on this piece. And here's my hand on this piece. I love this piece. It is one of my faves that I've ever made. I love these little, I made the wolves representing all of the 6 most common emotions. That's what all the wolves stand for, and it's also a reference to one of my favorite Otome games. So it's secret fan art. I got away with fan art as a well, it's not even fan art. Like, nobody would know unless I explained it. But anyway, I would never want to do this again. This was rough. I didn't even have a workspace big enough for it. I had to tape it to a table. It was that big. Okay, now I gotta put it back. I'll just sit it over here for now. Yeah, one day I would really like to get it. Stand up, please. Come on. You can do it. There we go. I'd really like to get it framed. I love it, but yeah, it was literally back-breaking work. I still remember, I think about it, how much my back ached in that class, because we had to do four of those. So, 4 paintings of that size. It was so tough. Oh, thank you. Yay, thank you. I'm glad that the size was conveyed. I wasn't sure if it would really show, and that's what people in art school are like, that's a large painting. Or not even large, it's like, that's a big painting, large is bigger. Nah, this is large for me. I like this. I like being able to work on my desktop without needing some special equipment or some giant desk or something. All right. Actually, now that I'm telling you that, I think the class actually, the professor decided that since the class couldn't keep up with the workload, he dropped one. So I ended up only having to do 3 I think. Yeah, because I had one that was... I secretly based them all on Otome games, and one was based on Code Realize. The one I showed you is based on Hyakka Hyakuro, I can't remember. Oh, it's called Nightshade in English, and Hakuoki. I'm pretty sure. The fourth one I wanted to do was... I can't remember. So yeah, must have only done 3. Still, that was tough. It was tough. It was a good lesson though. So I know I can do it, and I know how to do it. If somebody, say some client is like, I want you to make me a giant painting, and they're willing to pay whatever I ask, I can do it. I would do it if the price was right, you know, if my time was valued properly. For the most part, though, I want to stick with this kind of stuff. I want to stick with the nice, manageable work. And then I scan them all in at 600 dpi, so that means I can blow it up to 2-3 times its size. If I want to make prints that big, I can. Okay, I'm getting my sheet of watercolor paper out of my paper stash. Oh, this is the wrong drawer. Alright, what size? We need a big one. There we go. Of this 300-pound cold press watercolor paper. Although this is not the first thing I'm going to do. So actually I didn't need this yet. I gotta put graphite on the back of this. Okay, so what we're gonna do is flip this over, because we want graphite all over the back of this sheet. And then that graphite will get transferred down onto the watercolor paper. So that's why I have this nice big Lyra brand graphite crayon in nice soft 9B. B stands for bold, so it's boldness and hardness. The bigger the number on the B side, the darker the graphite. So I keep this crayon in my drawing kit, even though it gets graphite all over the items that are next to it in there. It's kind of troublesome, but it's worth it to just have it available for whenever I'm ready for this step. I'm just adding the graphite anywhere there are lines, so I don't have to just cover the entire sheet, as long as I make sure to get the graphite where the lines are, because that's what I want to transfer. It can be really roughly done. It doesn't have to be really tightly applied to the lines either. So if it's easier to just cover the whole thing in graphite, then that works too. For anybody wanting to try this technique. Wow, this is making my arm tired. Dang. I thought my arms were getting buffer. Well, I guess I haven't been practicing doing stuff like this. Ring Fit Adventure doesn't train you for the physical effort of art making. Alright, I'm going to switch hands. Since it doesn't require precision, it's easy to use your non-dominant hand. At least I think so. It's easier to use my left hand though because I started from the right. So when I use my right hand, I'm sort of covering up what I'm doing. Notice the little spot here that I missed. This will start over here. Even though you can apply the graphite roughly and don't have to worry about going directly on every single line or keeping to the lines, you still want to make sure to cover every line with enough graphite, otherwise it won't have enough graphite to transfer down onto the page below. So there will be another step after this to help ensure that. Make sure that the graphite is stuck well to the paper and that it's spread around so that you'll get a nice transfer when the time comes. Switching back and forth hands seems to be helping with the physical strain of doing this motion. Oh, it's okay, Chappy. Chappy heard some sound from outside the room. She's alerting us to it. I'm not sure what the sound was. It's okay, Chappy. She said, now she's sitting at the door. Yeah, I'll show you. Let's see if you can see. Chappy! Chappy! Go over here. Too bad I can't zoom in on this little camera. But she's just staring at the door, trying to figure out what's going on. Oh yeah, I'm just seeing her messages. Yeah, that was really really worrying when luckily they didn't actually come into the house, but they were like right at the door. And it was like 2 or 3 of them. So it was like their barking was coming right in the door. Yeah, that was really worrying. This time I think it was probably just my husband going in and out of the garage door. So it was just a quiet sort of click sound or something. Chappy Exie says hello. She went in her bed. Chappy! Chappy! There you go. Good girl. She's like, I guess it's okay. Got back in her bed. Chappy's been with us for 3 years now? Because it was 2022. So 23, 24. So 22 to 23. Oh, so she's been with us for 2 years, but she's 3 years old. Or she will have been with us 2 years. Wait, what? Yeah, because it was 2022, 23, and now we're in 24. So yeah, hasn't even been 2 years yet. So the reason I'm bringing that up is that she's still evolving into whatever personality she's going to have from living with us. And she started barking for attention, which she never did when the first... say definitely the first year we had her. She's been doing this barking for attention for a few months now. So in her second year with us, she's gotten so confident that she's willing to just bark and bark to get our attention to do something with her. I don't particularly remember we did have a lot of dogs growing up, so I can't remember everybody's personality super clearly, actually, which is sad. But I don't remember having a dog that barked for attention. I know that dogs do it, but of the dogs that I've lived with, Chappie is unique. She's unique for several other reasons, too. She's got such a... I don't know. Just goes to show that there's not like dog personality. Like everybody has a unique personality, and every time I adopt a new dog, I am so surprised. Okay, so I think I got all the lines covered roughly with graphite, and I think it's enough graphite. So the next step is to take this tortillon or blending stump and smooth it all out. And there's two reasons for this. One, it helps make sure it really is on the paper. What's the term? Strongly? Or you don't want random bits of graphite coming off when you do the transfer process. And then the other reason is to make sure that all the lines are evenly covered with graphite, so that when you do transfer, there's plenty of graphite there. There won't be any skips in your line because of not enough graphite along the way or something like that. Wow. It's already almost first break time. It always surprises me how long these steps take. Now that I've been live streaming illustration, in my mind they always didn't take very long, but now I understand why it takes me so long to finish one of my pieces, because the techniques I use are time consuming. But I really love creating them like this, so I don't want to change. I don't want to give it up. I feel like it's worth it, even though it takes a lot longer than what... I always have this thought in my head about illustration as a vocation and what the industry expects you to be able to do. And it really seems like people are expected to just whip out an illustration a week or something. And say I'm just doing the, like my new project, the Imaginaturalist sketchbook. Sure, I could whip out one a day of those. But the work that I would really like to be known for is this kind of stuff, and it just takes so long, so can't help feeling a little self-conscious about it. But I don't want to be known for work that I don't feel happy about, so... I feel like putting this extra effort in makes my work unique too. If nothing else, I've got the video proof that it's all meticulously crafted. So many artists I've seen recently, and I don't blame them for this or anything or think it's bad, but I don't like the pressure that it puts on me to create faster when folks use AI and then they just sort of edit the AI to make it their own. That's totally fine. But then there's this expectation of being able to make this really complex piece in a tiny amount of time. So at least since I'm live streaming all this, everybody can see I am doing this the hard way, thinking of everything myself and stuff. Maybe folks would appreciate that. You don't like that? The taking AI and then just editing it? I'm definitely not a fan of the... I mean, principles aside, I don't think it looks nice because it just looks like it looks like AI art. the artists I really admire figured out their own work style, and that's how it ends up being an art style. And I like that kind of work. I get a personal, it's not just personal touch, it's personal from the roots up. Yeah. It reminds me of the other day. Well, this was the other week now. I received a tarot card deck as a gift from a friend. And I was like, it just looks like AI art. And it turned out, we looked it up and it was. And it was just AI art with an artist who then fixed the things. Like with AI art, it can't handle hands. It's just like a human trying to learn how to draw, and then hands are like the hardest part. It's the same thing for the AI, which is weird. You'd think AI would be able to avoid that issue. It's not actually that intelligent. Yeah, and it changes the expectations. It makes people think, oh, look, so-and-so made this art in a week. You should be able to make this art in a week. Or you should be able to make your art in a week, because I judge this to be just as complicated as this. But it's like, it's not even apples and oranges. It's like potatoes and cherries. Like, they're both art, but they're so distantly related that it's unfair. Yeah, I'm not completely against AI, but it's troublesome. There are things we need to work through. It's like, I'm quite enjoying using Suno to make music. My friends and I have challenges that we do every day or two. Someone suggests a genre or a subject matter or something, like make a song like this or something. And then we share the creations that we came up with. And I like Suno. The language they use is not making music. They call it curating music. And I like that because it respects the difference. So I'm definitely not a musician. I would never call myself a musician. Just because I can type a thing into Suno and a song comes out. I guess there's a big difference between using it for fun or for personal uses and using it as a career, and then people who want to make a career making music or visual art or something have a lot of trouble. We've just got to, socially, culturally, we've got to figure it out. It's one of those things where I'm not on one side or the other. There's benefits and there's detriments, and it's so hard. It's a complicated issue. All right, I think I smoothed that in nicely. Oh, and perfect timing. It's exactly time. Oh, and I'm gonna wash my hands. There's graphite on the fingers. Wash my hands. Get up, walk around. Stretch, maybe step outside for a bit. Now that I've been streaming for a while, I'm getting quite warm. So, probably take my hoodie off. Anyway, let me put on my Be Right Back screen, mute my mic, and I will be back in 5 minutes. Hello everyone, I'm back. I hope you all had a great break. Let's transfer this drawing onto the watercolor paper. So to do that, I'm going to move my clipboard, and I'm going to move this camera over a little bit because this paper is so big. And we're going to flip the tracing paper back over so the graphite is now facing down onto the watercolor paper. And we'll try to center it and level it as much as possible. Hello, Exie! Did you have a great break? I mostly just went to the bathroom, washed my hands, put on lotion, stretched, and I was back. Nothing special. Didn't actually go outside. Washing my hands and stuff took too long. But I got all that graphite off, so it won't make little smudges on my paper. Oh, I'm glad you like the music. I got a new one in there yesterday. I think I said this yesterday too, but I hope to get a nice little collection going so that I don't want to bore people with the same 5 tracks every single time I go on breaks. Hopefully there will be nice new surprises popping up as I get more tracks in the playlist. There's a little tiny hair on here. Okay, I got it off. Yep. Since we've got this nice, super textured watercolor paper, let's see if we can see the texture on the camera if it wants to focus on the big camera. Yeah, I think you can see this nice texture, cold press texture, but that also means it hangs on to pet hairs and stuff. So yep. Until I finish with this, I'll probably be talking about pet hairs. I thought I'd swipe away some hairs, but more hairs came off. So they are on here already! No! That was a mistake. I gotta use the fingers. There. Fingers take it off better. Alright, enough distraction. So, I used the black cartridge to do the original, or to do the... How should I describe this? To get the drawing onto the tracing paper, I used the black cartridge. So now, use the red cartridge to trace, and the reason why I use red is so I can tell which lines I've gone over, because I can see that there's red ink on them. So we shall just start in the corner and move across. Let's see how long it takes. Hopefully not too long. But as I said earlier, these steps take me so much longer than I expect. I guess I did make a really detailed piece again. I always wanted to make detailed illustrations. Now I do, and it's like I created a problem for myself because it's so much work, but it's worth it for the end result. To make something I'm proud of, it's worth the effort. So when you trace these lines, you have to press hard enough to transfer the graphite to the page below, but if you press too hard, you can puncture the tracing paper. So something that helps is moving the pen more slowly, and then also just using the technique multiple times, you start to get a feel for the amount of pressure you need. So let's see. Yep. So you can see right here, it is transferring nicely. Even with the red ink, it's still a bit tough to see which lines you've already gone over, so it's also good to just pay close attention to what you're doing and don't stop until you come to a good stopping point, because if you stop but you did not finish one little line, it's so easy to think when you look back at it, oh yeah, that section is done. And then later you realize, oh no, I didn't actually trace that line. So now I'm just verifying I didn't miss anything yet. Looks good, I think. Okay, see you in a bit. Just following the lines. This is a little more intense. Even though, once again, it's just tracing. But because of those things I just mentioned, it's more of a taxing, mentally taxing process. You've really got to pay attention. You've got to keep your strength even in your hand as you draw. Keep that balance. Enough pressure to get the line to show up, but not so much that you pierce the paper and end up drawing with pen on the layer below. There are ways you can avoid the risk of drawing on the layer below if you puncture the paper. You might use like a little stylus or something to trace. But then you don't get the benefit of seeing the ink on the lines that you already did and therefore knowing what you've already worked on. So I have done it that way in the past, just using something that doesn't make a mark but has a really small but blunt tip. I prefer using the pen and risking the ink. The benefit is stronger than the potential downside. Let's see, did I do that second line? Nope, I haven't done these bottom ones at all. There we go. I had to stop for a second just then because my contact lens was getting kind of stuck on my eye and it was making my vision blurry, so I had to stop drawing and blink a few times to get the contact to be fluid again, or I don't know how to describe that, but if it gets sort of stuck off center and I can't see where I can't see as clearly as I need to for a project like this. So just then, I was just about to draw through the paper. So that's something else you can start to look for. You can hear the paper start to tear. And as soon as you hear that little scritch noise, let up on the pen. Being able to lift, I don't know if this camera is focused. It's hard to tell because, okay, it wasn't focused. It's hard to tell because this is so blurry anyway. Anyway, what I was going to say was the reason I only tape across the top is specifically so I can have this hinge effect and look and see what I'm doing. There could be a benefit of taping it down securely on all sides, which is that it's less likely for it to move and for lines to be a little bit off if it moves, because I've had that happen. But again, after so much experience doing this technique, I think it's worth it to risk some lines not quite meeting up as you hoped, for the ability to check, oh, did I actually do that line? Or make sure that the graphite is transferring well, or whatever else. So I think I'm done with this Gryphon and the sunflower that it is standing on. Just want to double check. Yeah. Yeah, I think that is good. So now we're moving down here. We started on this sunflower, so let's just go ahead and continue with it. And then we'll get the Gryphon that's coming into land. Okay, the center disc is complete. Let's just draw these rays coming out, flat flowers. Welcome back, XD! I don't play Wordle. I think my husband used to play it a lot. Is it that one where you have a certain amount of letters or something in there, and then you put in a word and it tells you how close you are? Something like that. Is that the one? So if that is the one, I've helped sometimes think of new words. Ah, similar. Why do you ask? I do love word games and puzzles. I play, well, I don't play, but I do crossword puzzles with my husband every night before bed to get sleepy. It's my favorite bedtime ritual. So I can stop thinking about worries and I just think about words. Oh, okay. Put words and it tells you which are correct, which are in the right place. Ah, so even if a letter is not in the right place, it'll say, but this letter is correct, though. Oh, okay. So anybody watching who hasn't done today's Wordle, spoiler alert. Okay, lay it on me. This gotta be a good one. If you're bringing it up, I'm curious now. Ow! Star Wars. Amazing. Wow, I don't know if that's a good omen or a bad omen, though. It depends on which side you're on. That's crazy. What a coincidence. Wow, nice. Good job, 66 streak, though, also. Is Order 66 good or bad to you? It's bad to me. It's bad. It's still a cool, coincidence, though. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Good either way, yeah. Good that if it's a reference to something awesome. I like that. I like that positive thinking. I think it's so funny that they chose the number 66. Like, it's such an obvious choice for something bad. But there is lots and lots of symbolism like that in Star Wars, so. I think I got, oh, there's a little bit on the side of the body here. Checking whether I missed any lines for this wing. Doesn't seem like it. Moving on. I'm glad this red pen does not seem to be glooping like the black pen was. I'm also glad this red pen is working after I clogged it up last time with graphite, since I used graphite instead of pen for the first round of tracing. There was so much ink left and I did not want to have to just buy a new cartridge and throw away the perfectly good ink, so I tried really hard and I was able to revive the cartridge. That's true. Yeah, as a moment of a huge turning point in the history of the Star Wars galaxy. Although it goes even beyond the Star Wars galaxy now. With, or at least, I don't read too many of the books and stuff or comics, so I don't know, maybe it's already gone out of the galaxy, but the Ahsoka show brought it outside of the main galaxy. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Yeah, like I said, so many good stories told about it. Although I was Bad Batch ending. It just I won't say anything about it, but I wanted something to happen and it didn't happen and I was sad. But that Order 66 was the sort of the catalyst for that show. So many little feather lines. Oh, you haven't seen the later seasons. Okay, good thing I didn't say anything. I wouldn't say anything anyway, because if anybody's watching this who hasn't seen it and wants to see it, or watches the recording later on YouTube in the same situation, I think it's worth finishing the story out. It was just a personal thing that made me sad about the ending. How they chose to end it, but Star Wars is a war story, so it also kind of makes sense. Oh, ending of Clone Wars is your favorite. Wasn't there a new Clone Wars? Do you mean... So, because I have not watched... The only Clone Wars I watched the very first movie that was made... there was a movie first, right? I think I've watched that. And then the series came out. And then there was a Disney Plus another continuation of the series. So, do you mean the end of the first series, or do you mean the Disney Plus... additional that? Because since I haven't watched it at all, I don't know if there's a difference, or if the new stuff is not directly continuing chronologically, or just other stories within that world, or the series. And that's your favorite part of Star Wars, even more than any of the main movies? Sometimes the tracing paper moves, so I take my hand from the point where it's taped down and then smooth it down so that I can be as sure as I can that I'm tracing the lines the same way and not going to have some offset lines by accident. Okay, I think I've done every line for this Gryphon here. Let me see what Exie says. Ending was planned and already recorded. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. So it was already... So it's basically they just finally got to end it. Oh, okay. Wow. Is there a way of explaining why you like it so much without giving any spoilers? I didn't think about it. If not, that's okay, because saying that you like it even more than the main movies is already a pretty powerful statement. My favorite Star Wars stuff is still the main movies. Although it's sad, when I was a kid, my favorite movie was Return of the Jedi, which came out in my lifetime. It was the first Star Wars movie to come out in my lifetime. But they've edited it so much since then, and you can't really get... I liked the late 90s edit where they extended the ending and added a new song that I thought was a more powerful celebration song for the end of the war. But you can't get that version except on VHS, which I have, but it's on VHS, so I don't want to watch it because I don't want to ruin the tape. So you can only either get the original cut, which is okay. And if you want a really high quality version, you have to have the super edited one that they just ruined the most powerful part of the movie, so it's not my favorite anymore because of that, sadly. My favorite is the, what is it called? The Rise of Skywalker. I love that movie so much. It does for adult me that Return of the Jedi did for kid me. Oh, let's see. Like it because Clone Wars animation is quite sentimental. Oh. Grew up with it. Oh. Yeah. That is powerful. Oh, that sounds so fun. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And it has to still... Even if it's not just a sentimental thing, surely it has to have been done well, because I've had plenty of times where stuff gets a revival or finally gets finished and then the ending is disappointing because they missed the point of their own show. They forgot what their show was good for, like why it was good. So they must have not forgotten and really nailed it to bring back all those good memories for you. Well, I've been liking all of these. I feel like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like Bad Batch and stuff is sort of like spin-offs of Clone Wars. Or at least the same spirit or something. So, I'd probably like Clone Wars if I finally watched it. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like not a direct sequel or something, but sort of inspired by the idea of it. Now I really want to watch The Rise of Skywalker. I love that. I love the ending. It's so good. It's so good. I love it so much. It's probably because it has the same vibe as Return of the Jedi. It's just an updated new one. Well, next week is my 4th of July vacation week, so maybe I have an activity. Star Wars Marathon. 4th of July Star Wars Marathon. There's even fireworks. There's fireworks in Return of the Jedi, at least. It's actually been quite a while since I did a full main movie marathon of Star Wars. I seem to do one every few years. That's how much I love Star Wars. Same thing with Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. Those are my main 3 marathon subjects. Oh, who's my favorite character? Yeah, it's tough. Because of the... no. When I think of it, when I think of the whole thing, ever since I was a kid, my favorite is Luke Skywalker. And I have grown up, so when I was a kid, and the first Star Wars movie, he's like a whiny kid. He's like a whiny teenager. I was a whiny, like 6-year-old when I saw the movie, but I resonated with him. And then as I grew up, and then his character grew up too, and he's remained an inspiration. Even in, I won't say I hated it, but there was a lot that I didn't like about, oh goodness, what is the second of the new trilogy called? There's Force Awakens, something, and then Rise of Skywalker. Whatever this one is. There's so much I don't like about it. But that last scene with Luke, he's definitely my favorite. Last Jedi. Yes. That's it. Thank you. I just couldn't remember. Yeah, it's time for a marathon, since I can't remember some of the titles. Surely I know the titles. What's the first one? Phantom Menace. Oh, I'm blinking. Rise of the Sith. Why can't I remember the middle ones? Phantom Menace, something, Rise of the Sith, right? It's Rise of the Sith. Or Rise of the Sith? Is that it? Is that the third one? Then A New Hope, and then... My brain doesn't like the middle movies. Come on, this one's not that hard. Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi. Oh, Attack of the Clones. That's the second one, right? Okay, thank you. Okay, so Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Rise of the Sith, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Why is this so hard? And then I can't do it. Oh, Revenge of the Sith, not Rise of the Sith. Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, Rise of Skywalker. These names are so hard. This is a complete distraction, but this bothers me. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Phantom Menace. I'm looking at your notes. Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, then A New Hope, which was added, subtitles added on later. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. I can't remember now. Rise of Skywalker and what? The Jedi, some other Jedi name? No, not Jedi name. The Force Awakens. Then, The Last Jedi. Then, Rise of Skywalker. Goodness. It shouldn't be that hard. All the names are so similar, though. Attack. Revenge. And then it's like Sith, Jedi, Force, all of these interrelated concepts. Thank you. Yeah, I did it. No matter how else today goes, I am a winner. I could finally recite all 9 movies in a row. I still struggled. It's hard, though. That's longer than Harry Potter. And Harry Potter doubled the last book into 2 movies. What's Harry Potter? Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone. I like Philosopher's Stone better, but apparently the kids couldn't say Philosopher's Stone. That's what I heard, and that's why they changed it. But I've also heard that it's just because they said Americans wouldn't like Philosopher's Stone. Which, if that's the reason, I think that's a poor reason. Anyway, Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and The Deathly Hallows. Oh, it's because I've read the books. It's easier when you read books because it takes you longer than watching a movie. So that means remembering the Star Wars movie names is more of a feat. I don't know if that's what that means. I'm just making it up. I think a harder one would be naming the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Because that's actually another one that I marathon every few years. I love those movies. A lot of people sort of fell out of the fandom after the second movie for some reason. These people I know. But the third movie is my favorite one. And the fourth and fifth ones are kind of They're alright though. They're still fun. Is there a sixth movie? I don't know. Good point. That's a good point. Well, it probably doesn't help that Game of Thrones is just a cultural topic. So I've not watched it. I heard it was super violent and I don't like really violent stuff. So I've never watched it even though I love sort of high fantasy things. But I know tons of like little tidbits, stuff about certain characters or whatever that just sort of trickle through just because I'm around people who do watch it. This is such a cultural phenomenon, so. This Harry Potter was too, though. Oh, it's like Star Wars 2. Oh, yeah. Oh, you found them? Game of Thrones, Clash of Kings, Storm Swords, Feast for Crows, and Dance with Dragons. I heard the series is far from being finished. Is that true? Like the book series. Did I get this? Nope, I didn't get this little spot right here. Get down here? Nope, I didn't get that either. A stem growing through here. Oh, still 2 books to go. Do they seem like they're coming out faster? Or does it still seem like there's... Because as far as I know, there's always been like this huge delay. Like, they came out and then there was like a huge delay. Ah, so it's still... Yikes. Someone needs to take George R.R. Martin like they did with Douglas Adams. I was listening to the radio drama Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Well, I don't know if you call it a drama because it's kind of a comedy, but the radio version has interviews with him, Douglas Adams, the writer, and his like producer or whoever had to. Basically what happened, I don't remember who told this story, but basically what happened is that his editor or producer or whoever took Douglas Adams to a hotel room, made him sit down with his typewriter or whatever, and wouldn't let him leave until he wrote the episode. That's how badly they needed the episode. So, oh good. Are you looking forward to it? After 13 years? Wow. Maybe someone did take George R.R. Martin and lock him in a hotel room. When I heard that, I was like, I don't want to be that kind of person. If I ever get an editor someday or an agent or whoever would be helping me, I don't want to do that to them. So I'm going to do my best to be self-motivated. So I feel like Douglas Adams is one of my favorite writers ever. Hitchhiker's Guide is one of those book series that I always read again. They've never managed to do, unlike all these other book series that have a full movie series to cover them, no one's ever managed to do that with Hitchhiker's Guide. For some reason, they can only ever really cover the first movie, or the first book. Oh, interesting. So you weren't that excited. Well, yeah, 13 years is hard to get hyped anymore, but now you are. Okay. Oh, yeah, well, you've got 6 months, and what, 6 books? 1, 2, 3, I'm looking at your message, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, and you said 6 book anyway. Yeah, you got 6 months to read 5 books. You got this. It's probably a good thing to read them. I mean, you said you forgot, but even for someone who feels like they know the story fairly well, there's probably some little nuggets in there that will be rewarding to be refreshed on when the new one comes out. We're slowly getting there. Looks like I might actually end up finishing a step right at break time again, which is it's so nice. It's such a nice coincidence. Let's see. So I'm just looking for any spots where I might miss a line. Actually, seems like right here I need a line. I didn't even draw it with the black pen. Oh, wow. So that's like Lord of the Rings. Because I'm still listening to the Silmarillion. Admittedly, I don't listen to it every day. But yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be really nice. It's so nice that you can do that. I'm so jealous. My reading is the only language I have a strong hold on that's not my native language is Japanese, and I'm still not quite there enough. I'm only in the middle. I'm like high intermediate. So I can't do that yet. Or I can try, and I have tried, but it takes so long that I lose interest. That's so cool that you can do that. I'm jealous. I gotta keep practicing. I practice Japanese every day. One day I'll get there. I have done the opposite, though, and it's a lot easier. My favorite book ever is The Hobbit. And so I've read it countless times. And I bought the Japanese version. I haven't finished it yet, but it's so easy to read. If there's a word I don't know, I just look it up because I know what the story should be. So it's fairly easy to decode anything that I don't understand, especially grammar. And I've even learned some words. I've gotten some vocabulary from it that I didn't have. Oh yeah, good idea. I mean, I have done, so I guess I'm selling myself short. I have read like little kids books, you know, like little picture books for grade schoolers and stuff. So yeah, that's a good point. If I can find, I don't know if they classify it this way in Japanese bookstores or anything, but in American bookstores and sellers, they call them middle grade books. I bet I could read a Japanese middle grade book. Especially because middle grade students wouldn't have all the kanji learned yet. So they probably have hiragana on it for me so that if I don't know the kanji, I can still pronounce it. And also, Harry Potter is great. It's still that reverse thing, but I bought all the audiobooks in Japanese for Harry Potter. So that'll be another one I could listen to, get some Japanese listening practice, but still know the overall story. So even if there's something that I don't know, I still know, well, it should be something about this. Maybe next year. Last year I made my goal for Japanese to be take and hopefully pass the JLPT N3. This year I wanted to focus more on some other things, so I set my goal just to be practice Japanese or study Japanese 20 minutes a day every day. So next year, maybe my goal could be something like read a whole book in Japanese. Yes. Yes. It's so true. It's so true. There's just so many things that, depending on the language, you just can't say it exactly with that exact sort of nuance. And then, it's not about incompatibility between languages or anything. It's about your mind expands and the idea, the story grows and becomes something even greater if you're able to experience it with the subtleties of two different languages or multiple languages, even more than two. Especially if it's a story you really love and you care about. That's why so often when I really like a show, I've done with this with Star Wars, with Loki, with Moon Knight, I'll watch it again with the Japanese dub. And see what subtle things are added. Plus, I just love hearing the voiceover actors because they're the same actors in video games and movies, or video games and anime and stuff. Yes, you're so lucky. I'm jealous. Well, at least my chosen second language. All of my hobbies are usually from Japan, so I've at least got that going for me. I do think since traveling fairly recently into a country where English is not the first language, and seeing how I was actually, I felt bad because everyone would try so hard to speak to me in English. And I didn't want them to have to work that hard for me. So I think that's actually kind of a negative thing for people like me who have English as the first language, because then it's like other people have to work hard, or they expect that they have to work hard to communicate, and I want it to be equal. I want to put in the effort too. But that's just hundreds of years of history in effect. It's not that simple. It's a complicated thing. It was nice though, because everyone was expecting me to only know English, then when I was able to speak in half decent Japanese, everybody was really happy. Really happy and impressed. And then it was so great for me because then I'd get practice speaking Japanese with people who it's their first language. And so I was super grateful for that. I just feel like, regardless of my fluency, anytime I go to a country that does not have English as the first language, then I would like to learn as much as I can, given the amount of time. Like if it's some rush trip for whatever reason, then maybe I can just learn how to greet someone and say thank you or something. But I don't want to just only rely on English as a global language. I want to put in the effort and try to at least meet halfway or a tenth of the way or however far I can go. Ooh, I need to drink water. My usual shaker bottle of water. Well, I'm getting really close to done tracing and really close to break time, so it might be another perfect moment to take a break. Perfectly timed. That transition between process steps. Though I might spend a minute or two before I go just to make sure I didn't miss any lines before moving on, because the next thing we'll do is put some watercolor paint on the paper. I'll finally need my reference images. I've had them up all this time. Proud of myself, I got them ready before the stream. But I haven't needed them yet. Need to get them ready early. Okay, tracing done. Let's check though, make sure there's no missed lines. Also, like right here, I missed one. This is why I check right here on the back. Boop. I'm pleasantly surprised with how the tracing came out on these teeny tiny little front feet here. It was really tough to trace. Right here the line is a little weak, so let's... That's better. I'm looking both for lines that don't have red ink on them on here, which is actually harder to see than it than it is to notice them on here, but looking at it both ways just makes me feel doubly sure that I've got it all. Ah, I found one that I missed right here. It's always worth it to look. It was the top edge of this Gryphon's wing. Okay, I must say that's good. So now it's break time, and then I will also get my watercolor stuff out. Move this stuff out of the way right now. I'll leave this as it is while I go on break, and my break might be a couple minutes longer because I'm gonna get my water and paint out and move my little mobile workstation thing over so I can put my palette on it and stuff. So I will try to be back in 5, but it might take a little bit longer. Okay, turning on my overlay and muting my mic. Hello everyone, I'm back. I hope you had a great break. I did. I had a delicious break. I had another cinnamon peanut butter, well, not a toast, just a bread. Cinnamon raisin bread with peanut butter, and this time I put some chocolate, what is it called? Tahini on top too. Nice snack. Oh, thank you. Welcome back to you, Eggsy. So I've got my stuff ready, but I'm in water here, my wash brush, and a towel. I also got out my big palette because I'm going to be adding a wash of color first to give the scene an overall unity using that base color. So, and someone was at the door. That's why my Google speaker was talking. I don't know. Delivery or something. I have no idea. My husband got it. I heard him go back up the stairs. Alright, first thing is remove this tracing sheet. And I'm going to flip it over. No, I don't want to tape it to this. I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper taped to the back so that it won't make anything messy when I store all of these papers later. Just got this nice piece of scrap printer paper. It should be acid free. Actually, I'll double check. You want acid free so that it won't yellow over time as long as it's stored out of the light. But now I want to be sure. Oh wait, it's not over here. Hold on. I want to double check this. I do not want to put an acid-rich paper on here. It won't affect it right away, but in 20 years, or even not even 20 years, I've seen acidy papers start to take effect in like just a few years if they're stored together with stuff that should have been safe. Oh, I don't have any more unopened ones. No! Okay. There's another way to do this. I bought my printer paper on Amazon. So I will just go to my order history. It's got the nice recycled paper, you know. Trying to do what I can to be friendly to nature. Let's see. Amazon. Oh, I just heard Chappie's claws on the floor. She wants to come in. Chappie! Come here, girl. Alright. Orders. Search. Paper. Parchment paper. Oh, here it is. Printworks, 100% recycled. Acid free. Multi-purpose. It doesn't say if it's acid free or not. This matters. Well, maybe it says on the back here. I didn't expect to be doing this. But I don't want to tape this to it. Ah, here we go. Maybe since it's recycled, they don't know if it's acid free. Quality guaranteed. Huh. chlorine free, but that doesn't say acid free. I thought it would be easy to find out. I must just search page for acid. Find in page, acid. There's only one mention. And where is it? Oh, here we go. No, that's not talking about acid free. Alright, I cannot verify. It doesn't say on the package. That's surprising. It usually would say it just right on the front. It says it's recycled, how many sheets, the weight, the color, the size. Alright. Well, I don't want to risk it, so we're not going to use this one. I'll just get a sheet of art paper that I don't mind putting to this purpose. I mean, it's probably fine. Maybe that's just not a thing anymore. I don't know. Maybe people just don't use acid in paper making since nobody wants it. Alright, so what kind of paper do I mind? Not mind using. I have all of these cardstock papers. Might use those. I don't do anything with them. We'll get a blue one. It'll match the theme of this. There. Haha. Now, I will tape this to the back. In fact, it's big enough that I think I can just fold this. That's kind of hard. Now let's pull the tape off. Anyway, the point is that it's going to keep the graphite on the back of this paper from getting all over any other images that are in the storage box I keep my work in. There. So let's cover up all of the graphite and then tape this down. And it will be stored along with this sketch too. All right. Now we can do some painting. Okay. Move this camera a little bit. It's in the way of me working. Oh, where'd my water bottle go? Have some more water before I get started. Okay. So for this, I do want to bring up my sunflower references. So the overall sort of brown, yellow, and green color scheme is what I want to put down here. Maybe not the brown. I might leave the brown just for the actual sunflowers. But definitely some yellow and green, especially to fill in these areas where there's not anything in particular drawn, but we can suggest the environment just using the colors. Plus, I think that they're in this environment full of green and yellow, so there's probably green and yellow intermingling with the colors of their feathers and furs. So, first thing to do is just get the paper nice and wet because we're going to do a wash. So we want it to be super wet so that the color will smoothly transition, not get stuck somewhere because there's not enough water for it to flow, you know. And this is why I love using the 300-pound paper, because it can handle it. It still will get a little warped, but comparing to using a cheaper paper, especially, I can't stand that like 80-pound watercolor paper. I'm like, this 80 pounds cannot handle even light watercolor. Just can't handle it. I feel like it makes people think. I've heard so many times when people hear that I love watercolor, that it's one of my main media, they'll say, oh, I can't do watercolor, or watercolor is so hard, or all these different things. And I'm not surprised anymore, but back when I first started hearing these things, I'd be surprised. I'm like, what? Watercolor is way easier than any other painting media that I've used. I love it. It's so fun and accessible. So I've wondered if maybe folks who have developed those kinds of opinions about watercolor, it's because they used less expensive materials, which usually means that they're less quality. So they didn't get the joy of watercolor because their paper was horrible. That's just a theory, though. I don't have any idea. No idea if that's actually the case. But I really do think that cheap art materials really do have a negative impact on people who think they aren't artistic or they aren't creative. And it's not their fault if the materials are poor. Okay. So we've got a lot of green and yellow. So let's start with yellow, because green is a mixture of yellow and blue. So we'll put yellow down first and then add the green. I just want to make absolute sure. A little tiny bit. So the water is pooling down here since my desk is actually at an angle. So I want to put some at the top since it's falling down to the bottom. All right, and it's actually a mixture of warm and cool yellows. The closer it is to the disc, the warmer the rays look on the sunflower heads. And then the farther out they go, the cooler yellow they get. So we use both kinds of yellow that I have, a cool one and a warm one, and then we'll add some green as well. So now I'm just waking up the yellow, because it's all dry in my palette here. Have not used this palette in a long time. But that's probably good. Okay. I'm just roughly applying it anywhere there's sunflower. And anywhere there might be a sunflower sort of in the background. And not worrying about whether I get it on other stuff. Because overall, this is just going to be a wash. So it's okay. Okay, so I'm going to rinse the brush out. Let's get... I think that might have actually been the warmer one. But the cooler one has some brown on it, so it's confusing. Well, whatever. We're going to get this other yellow, which also has brown on it, from whatever I was doing last time with this well of color. Let's add this one in too. I'll add it on the wings even. There's not any room for any green. Oh man, I just splashed all out of the bowl. Getting too excited here. Actually, I'm going to pull a little bit away. I want some room for green in here. I got so excited with the yellow. This is going to be really nice. Really happy with this. Something that I felt with my previous piece. Not the autumn Gryphon piece, but the birthday Gryphons. I feel like I could have taken that initial wash farther, because by the end of the piece I didn't really see it at all. So there was so much paint on top of it. So this time I've been keeping that in mind, like let's make it really vibrant. The summer Gryphon is perfect for experimenting with that on too, because summer is probably the most vibrant. The sun is so bright. It's the most vibrant season. Okay, so we've got to add a little bit more water because not go crazy and splash it everywhere again. I'd add a little more water because I dabbed away so much stuff. Also because it can help these colors intermingle by swiping over them now. I don't know, maybe not adding green. Let's see. So I'm just dabbing away in areas where I want some green to be, or I don't necessarily want it so yellow. Like a little bit where the Gryphons are. And around the sunflowers. But it's just to give the scene an overall flavor. So this is really fun and easy because you can just be really rough with dabbing away. Not trying to paint any specific thing yet. Just build the atmosphere. Okay. Let's add some green. Let's try to be a little bit more subtle with the greens, or at least controlled. Get a little bit more water. So I will be painting these things properly eventually. Some more paint. More paint. This is a bit too strong. Okay. It's got a little too strong in some areas, so just dabbing away. But watercolor will also just dry lighter than what it looks when you first put it down, so don't have to worry about it too much. And we're going to be painting plenty on top of this, so that's why I decided to try doing it much stronger. See what it looks like. in the end, once all of the layers of paint are on top. See how much shows through. I feel like being more bold with my initial color laydown might actually be quite rewarding. And you'll never know if you don't try. Oh, thank you. Yay, I'm glad you think so. There's a close-up look. Still quite damp. I'm probably going to have to get out my heat gun to help it dry so that we're not sitting here doing nothing while it dries naturally, since I put so much water on there. But it is a much bolder background that I was hoping for. I think I'll actually come back in with a little bit more yellow. This sunflower in particular is looking a little less vibrant. These little yellow spots to be hints of other flowers in the background. Not in focus, but just lending their presence to the scene. Okay, I think that is good. I'm going to get my heat gun out. I won't mute my mic yet, but it's kind of loud, so I'm going to mute the mic while I dry this. But first I got to get the heat gun out and plug it in and stuff. Chappie's always worried when I plug it in because I have to plug it in behind her where her bed is. She's like, should I move? You're okay, girl. You don't gotta move. Good girl. Yeah, you're okay. Good girl. Okay. Trying to make my little camera position better. I guess that's alright. Oh, she moved anyway. She doesn't want to be by this. Oh, here is my lovely heat gun. There's an on button and a little thing for it to rest on while it cools off after being used. So I'm going to mute my mic for a bit while I dry this off. Okay, I'm back and I think it's dry. Yay! Might be tiny itty bitty bit damp still. I didn't test the whole page, but the parts I tapped seemed good, so I'm just gonna put this away. Let's see. Well, it's not too hot, so I'm gonna just put it completely back away in the drawer. And hopefully while I'm doing that, if there's a tiny bit of moisture still hanging around, it will evaporate. Okay, I've got to rearrange my workstation a little bit. Exie, let's go! Yeah! Time to put in the more detailed stuff. Ah! I really feel like continuing to paint the sunflowers. I'm feeling really good about those. So I'm going to move this. I don't know if I want to use this. It's so big. If I put it to my left, yeah, I think I can use it. It's the same brand of paint as I always use, this Sakura Koi. But it's just for when I'm working on truly big pieces. But since I have it out, may as well just use it. I'm refolding my towel here. And I don't need this brush anymore. I'll just set it to the side so I can clean it after the stream. Ah, yes, that's right. And I'll move my drink over to, I mean, it's a shaker bottle, so there's no chance I'll put my brush in it, but it is nice just to have it at my other hand. There. Oh, I need some other brushes. I put that one brush away, but I didn't get the ones that I will need to actually paint those details. Let's see, what size do I need? Oh, sure, this one. This is probably good for painting the sunflowers for now. I like the idea of painting the sunflowers because I have the reference image up right now too. So I don't have to spend time switching over to the Gryphon references. Yuki! So let's see. Move this so that that's showing the piece a little better. And I've got my two yellows. It's pretty much all I need for these. I might add a little bit of red or brown, because towards the center the leaves get very, very orange. Or not leaves, the rays, those ray flowers, those flat flowers. Oh, this feels all dry. Actually, let me show you the result now that it's dry. I really love how these little dots of yellow in the green turned out. Might need a little bit more green at the end for the background, but it's a really good start for suggesting a field, that there are more sunflowers than just the ones that are specifically drawn. So that's where we're at. And now we're gonna put some details down. So, I guess I'll start by painting each with the cooler yellow, and then we'll add warmer yellow on top. I think that might be nice. Well, this yellow seems dirty or something, like there's some color in here mixing that's not allowing me to get the pure yellow color. I'm going to try to clean it out by taking my brush and putting that diluted color, or it's like a muddied color. Put that in the water. Alright, I think that's a bit better. Right, it would be better if I had two towels. Oh, well, I'll just try. We'll just try with one for now. See how it goes. This is actually going on really thick. I'm surprised. This side of the brush seems to be good so far. This will probably be too big for the flowers that are really far in the background. But it's good for now. It's good for these ones. I am quite surprised at how well this is going. Well, let's say pleasantly surprised. I felt like I did the initial color wash very boldly, but now that I've started painting specific objects, it doesn't seem very bold at all. Well, it doesn't seem like it's not bold, but I guess I was just prepared for it to not work out as I hoped, and it is working out exactly as I hoped, and that's what's surprising. Oh, 10 minutes to go. Wow. Guess we did get some major steps done. It just doesn't feel like I've been streaming that long. It's gone a lot faster than the sketch did. The sketch was kind of a slog, to be honest. It was tough. I kept thinking, yes, it was the right choice to live stream illustration. I was getting those feelings where in the past, with nobody watching, I would just do something else, find some excuse and do something else and let my illustration sit there. Not this time. I got through it. Thanks to everybody watching. Thank you. Thank you for helping me. Seems silly, even though I've experienced it for so long now. 6 months of this. Still seems kind of silly that that's what it takes, but it helps so much. A little bit more water in here. Saw your message, Exie. Really do appreciate it so much. I think that's why so many people, when they graduate art school or whatever creative school, and then they end up not working on their dream career for years afterwards, because the support of the academic environment is, it can be everything. Even though as a student you might feel like, oh man, if I didn't have to do this assignment, then I would be working on my real work. But then you're released. You're sent out into the world and everybody says, okay, now go do it. And then nothing. Oh, you're welcome. Yay. I'm glad the feeling is mutual. Streaming is such a positive thing. Nobody, in all my university career, nobody talked about art streaming. It's just this sort of thing that I did on my own. I mean, people were art streaming, but in the university community, both students and faculty, nobody talked about it. I mean, I would talk about it. I would say, yeah, I actually live streamed this piece. If anybody wants to see it, nobody would look at it. And I'm like, well, okay, that's fine. Then I'll have to go look at it. But if I were to become a university professor, I'd tell my students, hey, try live streaming. It can really get you to focus. If you have an audience who will join you, and you have something to look forward to. Because making art really is hard. It's fun, but hard. I have heard similar suggestions, though. I'm not saying that nobody ever suggested anything in school that would help with motivation. Something that I'd heard was get a studio that's shared with other artists. Like, say you're, for instance, we have a place here, or we had, I don't follow it closely because it doesn't personally affect me, but there was at least one point, and maybe it still exists, a place where you can rent a room that's your studio room, and then all the other people renting the rooms are also artists and creatives, so that when you go to work, it's got this, what was the term you called it? That co-working or something? And so you end up getting that, but for your creative career. So I've had things suggested like that, but I feel like live streaming is way better because you don't have to go somewhere. You can just stay at home. You don't have to pay extra rent. Body doubling. Yeah. So that is the thing with those studios. You have to pay the rent for the studio. And sometimes you have to pay for other stuff too. Like, you might actually have to pay for the utilities, like your share of the electric bill or whatever it is. So live streaming has a one-up because if you stream from home, you're already paying rent or whatever it is to stay at home anyway. So that saves you some money. Plus, it's the comfort of your own home. You don't have to deal with commute time, traffic, and what if you forgot something at home and then you have to go home and go get it and then go bring it back to the studio or something. Five minutes left. I hope to remember next week that I'm just using this cool yellow to paint all of the sunflower rays. I think it'll be pretty obvious. There's not much else going on with it yet. Boop. Need a little bit more water. The paint wasn't flowing off the brush how I wanted. This is going to be so fun to paint when we add the warmer color closer to the center and then feather it out toward the end. It's going to be so fun. I love that about watercolor. Flowers are definitely one of the funnest things to paint in watercolor. They're so rewarding because their organic nature and their softness means that you don't have this huge pressure to get it exactly right. It'll still completely look like a flower. Water. I don't know if I can do it, but it would be really nice if I can get all these rays done before stream is over. We'll see. I don't know if you can hear it, but Chappie's been snoring lightly for a little while. So cute how my dogs like to work with me. Whenever I'm in my studio, they eventually, maybe there will be something they want to look at, but it never fails that eventually they come down and want to come in here if I'm in here. So I guess I have 2 canine coworkers. Okay, just this little row here. Got a little under 2 minutes. See how far we can go. It's nice that the middle of the sunflower is also darker than the rays, because that means even if I paint out of the lines a little bit, like right here, it won't matter because it'll get covered up by a darker paint anyway. So that means I can paint a little faster, tad bit sloppier. Just get the paint on the page. Man, I've gotten to a point in the piece where I'm kind of disappointed that I won't be working on it tomorrow. But I have an extra special chibi to do tomorrow, so I'm definitely not going to switch up my content. All right. Sweet. It's 1600 exactly my time. And I just finished the rays of the second sunflower. Woohoo! Alright, rinse my brush. I'll hold this up so you can see how far we got today. And this week, I guess. And this month, because I'm taking next week off for the holiday. Oh, yay! So glad I'll see you tomorrow, Exie. Hooray, hooray! Oh, you're welcome. So glad to hear it. Yay! I hope tomorrow will be just as fun. So here is the progress of today. We got the sketch transferred onto the watercolor paper, put down the initial wash of color, and got those first 2 sunflowers, the base color of the rays, done. I think this is coming along at a nice pace. I feel like it should definitely be done before summer is over, because summer just starts, so yay! All right, so let's find somebody to raid. Let's see. Ah, Twitch, here we go. I'm getting my phone out and look on Twitch. See who's live. Oh, looks like the only art channel I follow who's live is Margot Simone Art. So let's go raid her. She says she's, oh, look, we're going from watercolor to watercolor. It says a fancy kitty watercolor illustration. Perfect. That is thematically a perfect match. There's a little bit of water here. I have to wipe it up so I don't put my painting in it. So let's switch. Keyboard for illustration. Put the illustration up here. Point the little camera at it. And open a Twitch tab. Okay. Yay. Okay, /raid. Margot Simone. Did I spell that right? Yes. Art. Boom. Okay. The raid countdown is going, so let me thank you again for joining me today, making this illustration week awesome. And I'll be back tomorrow with an extra special Chibi Friday, so I'm looking forward to seeing you then. Let's go! Alright, the raid worked, so if you are still on my channel or watching the recording later, that's it for me today. I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.